Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci fi show where things can get totally radical. Now, today we're going to be doing a second interview with a guest we had on a month ago, Betty from Revenge of the Nerds herself, Julia Montgomery. And I'm pretty excited. We get to talk about a couple projects we didn't get to talk about last time, and it's going to be pretty cool. I'm starting to feel like Brian Linehan for part second of my interview with Julia Montgomery. Yeah, the only difference is I'm not going to be asking long-winded 90-second questions like Brian Linehan did. He was a great talk show host and he had a great personality, don't get me wrong. But, oh my God, those 90-second questions he would ask the guests. I don't know how those guests, got to how they got through the interviews, and how they even granted an interview with him. It was a totally different time. It was the 70s and 80s and early 90s when Brian Linehan was doing that show. Was it called City Lights? Yeah, in Canada. He had everybody on there. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to be talking to Julia Montgomery again, and we'll be talking about Earth Star Voyager, the Disney pilot that never got sold, um, Savage Justice, Full House. She did an appearance on Full House, and Stop Her, My Mom Will Shoot, and Milk Money. Two very, very small, thankless roles, and I'm just wondering how come she did those movies. Obviously, it was because to get acting work, but just those tiny, tiny parts. We're going to be dissecting the anatomy of that. And yeah, I will call Julia in just a moment.
Yes.
Hey, Julia.
Hey,
I
so you forgot it was your anniversary?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, jeez, guys.
I am so sorry, Julia. I will never put sex before a guest again.
No, I think it's fine that you did. It's a good thing you did because you somebody might have been a little upset.
Yeah, that is true.
It was worth it for the long run. I agree. I
Uh,
agree with your choice.
Not to mention the fact that I fell back asleep.
Well, there's that, but yeah, that's no problem. That's no problem. I actually thought maybe my shorthand of I'll call you at 7 if there's I'm not reading what I wrote, but basically I usually know by 7 if anything else will interfere. I thought maybe you misconstrued that until to or not misconstrued it, but just read it as I'll confirm at 7. I don't maybe I said that, but
Yeah, I
anyway,
thought.
I always know my schedule for the next day by 7 as soon as it takes that long. So
Mhm. No,
anyway, sorry.
no, I just thought.
So that's what I thought happened. I didn't know you were having fun over there. Jeez.
Yeah, I just thought I was gonna hear from you by 7 last night, and
That's what I thought you thought, and that's what I
yeah,
thought was growing up.
I thought maybe you
But
forgot or you fell asleep or something.
yeah, yeah, no. But anyway, so
uh,
and will I be able to hear this later? Like when you put it together? That's what I was asking.
oh yeah,
You could send me.
oh yeah. Did you get the first one I sent you?
Oh no, I don't think I did. Or if it was attached, I didn't see it.
Okay, I'll
No.
well, I'll send you both afterwards.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, no problem.
So you did a ABC Disney pilot called Earth Star Voyager.
Yes.
What was that like?
Well, it was really fun, but I think one of the actors in it had a really good idea, and unfortunately, the director didn't have the same idea, which is that we should all. Because I don't think it came. I thought it was pretty boring in the end, but it was fun to do. I think that it would have been more exciting of a show to watch if all of us young kids, young intelligent doctors, played it more like, oh my God, we're just kids and we have this, we're so smart that they, be excited like kids, and we're so smart that we got this great opportunity to be, on the project as the doctors, in our characters,
Right.
because I think we were too subdued. That might have helped it, because I think it was so, I had a hard time watching it. I was so like, oh my God, this thing is just droning on and on. But, but as far as making it, let's think, I was actually up in Vancouver, and that was really fun. It's always fun being, I don't know if I was the only girl. There was a younger, there was like probably one other girl in it. I don't remember.
Yeah, Maggie Langrick, who I actually tried to get an interview with, but she turned me down, and I was sad.
Wait, what's her name again?
Maggie Langrick.
Yeah, was she a little brunette? I'm trying to remember
Yeah.
who she was.
She's a brunette. She was in Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah. Anyway, it's always fun to be kind of the only girl, it's always just fun. Not as fun as things were on Revenge of the Nerds, because that was like a really special cast.
Yeah.
This was a fun cast, but, we also didn't have freedom to improv. It was a Disney show, and, so I think, so there wasn't that same sort of playfulness and opportunity and all that. So, I really enjoyed the director, but I think as far as like helping the piece have a more fun pace and be more exciting, it maybe would have been better going a different way in the energy of it. Mm-hmm. But it was really fun being up in Vancouver. We were up there for, I don't know if it had to at least be a month. I don't remember, but it was probably a long time. Mm-hmm. During that time, I may have already talked about this, but
what happened?
That's during the shooting of Star Voyager is when Nerds 3, when Fox wanted, offered me Nerds 3.
Yeah.
Down in Florida. What is it, Nerds in Paradise?
Yeah, the second one.
The second one, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Nerds 3. The second one. And I think I may have already told you the story, but so they sent me the script, and that's when they had my character, Betty, like early in the script, like page 6 or something, sleeping with some jock in a hotel room down in Florida or somewhere, It was like, what? What? This does not make sense. For my character and for the whole, like, meaning of the movie, I just thought it was horrible. And so I told them I didn't want to do it, and then the director called me and said they would rewrite the script when I was down there, because I would have had to fly from Vancouver down to wherever they were in Florida.
Yeah.
And shoot it over like a long weekend, and so I was really disappointed in the script. And then Curtis and I were talking, and we're still really good friends, and we spoke, and then he said, they're not really changing the script the way they told us they would, and it wasn't the same feeling as Nerds 1, and so I ultimately, and then there was also pressure from the Disney producers they didn't want me to do that Nerds 2, because, they're more of a wholesome.
Yeah.
So there was pressure from them, but really the decision was still mine, even though been different, I would have really wanted to do it, and I probably would have done it. But because it was so opposite of everything that I felt the nerd stood for and that my character transition stood for, I mean, I was just a symbolism in Revenge of the... I thought of, in a character, the symbolizing the whole victory of the nerds. And why it was so meaningful, because, they're like really smart guys that are just caring and, really want to be whatever, good and bad, good partner, happy to have the girl, not like the jock, not like my Stan was. So anyway, had the script been a lot different, it would have been very hard to turn it down, and I think it would have taken it. But I think if I had taken it the way it was, it would have been horrible, and I wouldn't have been. I doubt I would have been in there 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But of course, the storyline. I guess it just proves that the story. People when they want to do a movie, they don't have to pay attention to the first nerds. I mean, it's like, why would they have Betty sleeping with somebody but Lois after the whole movie? I mean, it just seems. It seems so 80s, the look at the way, and so shallow of not really watching, it was like, do you really watch Nerds 1? No. And then think that my character would immediately be cheating with him? Like, that was so shallow. The writers, which were not the same writers. That was not the same writers of the first one. I mean, obviously. But anyway. So that's me. I can go on and on about that.
Well, I used to watch the ABC Sunday Disney movie a lot when I was a kid, and I remember seeing it. And this, I remember it was at the time that Star Trek: The Next Generation started, and the whole spaceship, show was kind of being resurrected from that, But
yeah.
I remember this show though. I remember it was kind of a little bit boring, even for a Disney show.
Totally. Yeah, it was, and it could have been good. I mean, we did have a good group of actors, and our director was really nice, but for some reason, I don't know if it was him or maybe it was the producers. You never know who actually is sending down the idea of how the tenor of the show, but it was really fun to do. And I'd never been to Vancouver, and it was gorgeous up there, except for it was really raining a lot, of course.
Yeah.
I'm used to that, but
did you like working?
Beautiful.
Did you like working with Duncan Rieger?
Yes. What is he doing these days? Like he was very like the older, like he acted way older. Like it was. I mean, he acted the way he's supposed to act, but for me, he made it. Exactly, I guess, as it should have been for me, which is that I had this crush, on this older guy.
Yeah.
As usual, it is reflecting back to my life at that. Usually, I dated, older men like 8 years or 10 years older. That was about where I seemed to land with the ages of the boyfriends at that period of time. But
you must have daddy issues.
Yeah, he does. What's that?
You must have daddy issues.
Well, I don't think that's much of an age difference. I think a smaller age difference as I got older, but I don't know why that ended. Well, I was always the youngest wherever I was.
Yeah.
Until I became a mom, and then I was the oldest because, of course, I had a career before all of that, so I really didn't get to that part until later. But then I was suddenly the oldest of my group. But anyway.
But yeah, you liked working with him though.
Oh, very much. Yeah.
Yeah, I interviewed somebody a couple of weeks ago who worked with him on another short-lived series called Wizards and Warriors, and said not only was he a great guy to work with, but he also thought he's the greatest actor in the world that not many people have heard of.
Yeah, I was going to say, what, do you know, did he do a lot after that? I'm sure, there's many a thing that we all don't know about.
Well, he played Dracula in the Monster Squad, and everybody remembers him from that. But
Oh.
he's done like TV stuff, low budget movies. I do know he occasionally goes on the convention circuit.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be really funny if I bumped into him one of those things.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what?
What about working with Brian McNamara? He always plays an asshole in movies and stuff.
Yeah, he was the one who had the idea that we should be playing this more like kids. And unfortunately, I think he was right, but I think we didn't, the kids, those of us that were playing with him, we were all working together, that we didn't fully get it. Had we done that, that if we'd be able to do that and the director and everyone went along with it, that would have been a good idea. It was Brian who said that. He was very smart. He's a smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw him in a few things after that, but what about him? What's his latest? I don't know.
I have no idea. I should look on IMDb right now and see.
Yeah. But he was very nice to work with. He was very nice. It was a nice group. It wasn't incredible. Like, it wasn't like, we went out together, all of us, but at the same time, it wasn't wildly fun, or I guess we all, in some way, kept a little bit to ourselves. It wasn't the same feeling as, really nothing was the same as Nerds, but anyway.
Wow, he's been in a lot of TV, I see here. He's been in a lot of TV.
Yeah, for a while there, I saw him a lot, I think.
Yeah. Oh, he's done the new Hawaii Five-0. He's done CSI New Orleans. I mean, he's been in everything.
I think I need to see what he looks like. I'm going to look him up, because maybe I'm seeing him and I'm not possibly recognizing him. But yeah, he was he was a solid actor. He was good.
Nice. And then you got to be a kick-ass female in Savage Justice. How did that come to you?
It was just one of those crazy, like low budget auditions, and what was hard about those auditions is you're not doing the fighting. It's all of this other stuff that's going on. So I guess they probably just did some intensified, look in my eyes or something, and tough, and you can't mess with me, or I don't remember, but they liked me right away, and then they offered me the part, and I'm like, well, why not go to the Philippines? That'll be exciting. Of course, there was a lot of stuff going over on the Philippines, but I never, a lot of political stuff, but I never saw any of it or felt any of it. It was really cool to be over there, actually, and in a completely different culture. They gave me, that had a bodyguard and a driver, and they put me up in a very nice hotel over.
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks in, it seemed like it was probably like a 6-week shoot, and like 3 weeks in, they had the American guy, Stephen Memel, finally come over, and I had never been on a set where I was like the only American, and it was really fun, and not always fun, but there was one thing that was difficult, was that when I learned that in the Philippines, you talk through a middleman. My bodyguard was always right next to me. It was to me, it was so bizarre. Like, he was doing his job, although I didn't see any danger. So for me, I was like, I need just a little bit of space. But I don't know if I said that to him finally. He was the nicest guy. Mm-hmm. And I somehow learned that, well, I I know how I learned it. One day I would swim as my workout early in the morning at the pool, and I was working almost every day on that shoot. And one day, yeah, it was, and I was in a different time zone, and I was having a hard time sleeping, and I was learning how to do all this stage fighting, which was actually incredible because they had a wonderful guy teaching me all of that. And I just out of having the necessity of having to learn things quickly, somehow I did. And, I'm not saying I was great at it, but, they sped it up to, like, whatever they needed it to look like. But it was really fun learning it. But the other thing that I was going to say, sorry. It was actually like a realistic time to be at the pool where there were a few other people.
Right.
And I don't know if I sat down next to he was American, and he was a psychologist, and he was there doing some sort of training or something with a company, and he book for you, and it's called Culture Shock, and they actually make it for all different countries. But he had the actual one, Culture Shock, in the Philippines, and it's set. And I read it. I was like so hungry to understand what it was, because when I said something I'm trying to remember his name, to my guy, it was like I had shamed him. I was just asking, could I just have like a little bit of room, kind of to breathe? And I learned that you tell someone else. So I went to the producer and said, could you tell, his name was like Choban, or it was some sort of an interesting name, and could you ask him to just give me a little bit of, breathing room? I mean, I know he's doing his job, and he's really nice, but I was so not used to that. It was kind of amusing. But yeah, the stage fighting stuff was really fun, even even though I don't, I've only watched the movies maybe once or twice at the most. But I was like, wow, they really sped that up, which was fun. It was fun to watch. But it was like they set everything up, even the dialogue. I was like, I might have had like, I don't know, dysentery or something. My digestion wasn't perfect because things were upsetting my stomach, but I wasn't talking that fast. It sounded like we were on cocaine. None of that.
Oh my God.
So it was a great experience, though. They treated me really well, and the producer kind of had a crush on me, and he would, but everything, was above board and everything, but he would take me, like, to pretty places, and we just wasn't it that.
You're cutting out a little bit, Julia.
And he was wrong. No, we can't do that. But he was very, I saw a picture of us, and just, the Filipinos have the greatest faces and the most.
Before we get off Savage Justice, Stephen Memel, I've seen him in many things, but the one role that I can never separate him from, there's a movie Jeff Canoe directed right after Nerds called Tough Guys with Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas. And
right?
There's a scene where Kirk Douglas goes to a clothing store and Stephen Memel is the flamboyantly gay owner. And check this out. You're going to laugh when you hear this. He's got white pale makeup on with ruby red lips. He's got this this Martin Short, Ed Grimley point on the top of his head. He looks like a punk rocker. And Kirk Douglas is trying on all these different clothes, and and Stephen Memel's critiquing him, and one of the times he's painting his fingernails.
Oh my God!
Oh, it's hilarious.
What is the name of that movie?
Tough Guys.
Oh, Tough Guys. I'm gonna have to. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
I actually, it's funny that you say that thing about his makeup in Tough Guys, because I actually thought they did his makeup really poorly in our movie where he looked pale again, and it was like, what? I thought he looked a little strange in our movie in that same kind of way, like red lips or reddish, not red, but I mean, our movie was not a work of art. It was more of an experience.
But at least you got to be an action hero in a movie.
That's right. I got to be an action hero.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fun. That was fun.
And then you got to play young Stephanie on an episode of Full House.
That's another fun group. And I think, let's see, she was a friend, not a friend, but one of the actresses who played one of the other girls in the same episode, the actress's name is Jane Modine.
Yep, Dave Coulier's ex.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. This is funny you're bringing up like all kinds of flashes from the past, but I should look her up and see what she's been doing. But I knew her. Her younger sister and I were up for one of the very first commercials that I auditioned for. This is going back in maybe 1975. It was a Sears commercial, and I ended up getting it. But in the waiting room, her younger sister, they were kind of close together in age, but it was her younger sister. She had brought her younger sister to the interview, I guess, and Jane, was being a working model, very, very much of a working model, and I was kind of spellbound because I think I'm sure I must have had seen her already in magazines, because I had done a little bit of teenage modeling as well, and then it led right into the soap opera back in 1976. But anyway, so Jane and I were on that show together, and that was fun and funny, and a cute episode. That cast had been together for a while, so there wasn't tons of interaction, but they were very nice to be around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rhonda Shear was in there. I used to watch her on USA Up All Night. I'd see Nerds on there.
That's so funny. That's so funny. That show really went for a long time, and then I can't even.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Almost 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and exactly. That was the episode where they met. Dave met, of course, and then I think I remember them sitting together and kind of thinking, "Oh, they look cute together." And then I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know that we could cell phones yet, but I remember being in a little bit of interaction with her. But then, after as things went on with, not on with she and Dave, but just in the beginnings of the relationship, I thought that was amazing. It was great.
Yeah.
So I guess it ended after a couple years or so. I don't know. I don't remember. But
yeah. I remember being like 6 or 7 when I saw this episode, and I remember going like, why is Betty doing a guest star role on this show? She should be a series regular.
Yes, that's true. That is so true. That is so true. But whatever. It's true. It's true. I always thought that I'm sorry, I'm not coming up with her name. The girl who's the wonderful brunette actress from Full House, the girlfriend of.
Lori Loughlin.
Yeah, I loved her. She was so pretty, and that show so well. It was like so natural and fun. Yeah, I always admired her for that role.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. She
was, I think, special. And then I saw her in a lot of things, I think. Tons of things. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember she did a movie with Keanu Reeves, like, just before she was on Full House, called The Night Before. And there's a scene where she's, like, chained to a bedpost, and they like show a close up of her foot. And like, I'm not a foot fetishist or anything, but even her feet are beautiful. She's a gorgeous lady, you know?
She is. She is. I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, I thought she's a really pretty girl. Talented.
Yep. And how did you get to play a secretary in Stop or My Mom Will Shoot?
I'm not sure I remember how that happened, but suddenly I was in the, all I remember is shooting the scene and coming up in the elevator. I think what coming up in the elevator was simply the actors coming up in the elevator, but, you know, talking casually to Sly Stallone, and I had seen him at lunch literally go to his trailer with somebody. You know, it was one of those, it was like, wow, I guess this is all a daily occurrence where like things you had heard about Sly and all the women and whatever. I mean, I didn't see a lineup, but there could have been. And then coming up in the elevator with him and thinking, this is crazy, you know, that's Rocky.
Yeah.
That was really fun. That was just almost like a favor. It was like somehow I just got in there and they're like, yeah, we want you to do this little bit part. And I was like, okay, sure, why not? I'll be with Sly and wait, what was the wonderful Estelle Parsons?
No, Estelle Getty.
Who was it?
Estelle Getty.
Yes.
Golden Girls.
Golden Girls, and what a character, you know. She was adorable.
Oh God,
that was fun.
When she was on the Golden Girls, she was pretty much playing my Italian Nana, because they were like twins. Same hair, same hair, same glasses, same voice, same wisecracks, everything.
Oh God, she was perfect counterpart to Sly Stallone. I thought that was, you know, I don't think the movie did very well, but
no,
but it was well-meaning, and you know, it's funny to have those two playing off each other.
Yeah, and Roger Spottiswoode directed. He was married to Jack Palance's daughter at the time.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he's a Canadian.
Yeah. And now is he married to somebody else now, or is that short-lived, or?
I don't know if he is now. I don't even know if he directs anymore. But he directed a lot of good movies.
Yeah, that could have been the end of his career, maybe.
Probably.
Maybe. I'm only saying that as a joke because he was a very nice man. I know he's done a lot, so I'm goofing around.
And then you played Jessica Wesson's mother in Milk Money.
Oh, yeah. That was fun because in the audition there was so little, it was just one of those real moments. And you have to, you know, it's harder to have a small part, you know, where you're just doing a natural thing. And yet, so that was kind of fun to get that role and to be on that set with Melanie Griffith and Ed Harris, and they were totally having an affair. I mean, they were like making out before every take. It was like, oh my God.
Wow.
It was so weird because I thought, you know, I mean, it's definitely, sure, I get it. There was no question, you know, when you just fall in love with someone or whatever, temporarily, whatever, you know, the attraction. But it was like literally before every take, they were like, it was like, I just felt sorry for hair and makeup. It was like, okay, get Melanie's lipstick again. I mean, like, literally before they went, you know, rolling, it would be like, I was like, geez, isn't there enough time? Let these other people do their job with you. I like that movie, though. I really liked that movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was sweet.
Yeah.
I didn't think it got enough. I mean, I just like the storyline, and I like the way they're two really good actors. But it was pretty funny to be like, I can't believe they just keep
Yeah.
You know, like all of those guys and girls who are on the set working, and I don't know. Like, okay.
Richard Benjamin directed a lot of movies that you look at and go, really? He directed this?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then he pretty much just let me do my thing. I almost, but I really like to be directed, so I would have rather, he give me direction, but sometimes they just want you to do those simple things, and there's not much to it,
Mm-hmm.
So, but that was fun.
Yeah, I remember oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was 11 years old when it came out. It pretty much summed up my life at the time because me and my friends, we used to like trade bubble gum so we could see our friends' older sister's boobs, So,
Exactly.
so like I can relate to that,
Exactly. Oh God. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun though.
Well, I totally respect their acting. I just really think they're great. That was kind of why I was like, but can you just give the makeup artist and everyone else a chance to just work? That's what I was like. What? And Harris, come on! You've got the rest of the night. Like, get finished with shooting, then go do your thing. I mean, it's great to see them making out like once or twice, but then it was like, oh my God, they're holding things up.
Wow, I just love that honesty, Julia. I didn't know about that,
Yeah, I know. It's like crazy. It's a crazy moment.
So what do you do these days?
These days, well, since I have two kids that are almost completely grown at this point, like I have a son who's a senior, and he just got accepted to UCLA, so he's ecstatic because he's been working. He's been working all of his. He just has always tried to get A's no matter what, and he's a well-rounded kid. He does a lot of stuff with jazz trumpet and whatever. But you have to be so lucky. You have to have all that, and then you have to have some sort of Tinkerbell, with fairy dust over you to get into that school. It's not, there's a million people that are smart and talented, and then somehow you don't know how. So I was just glad that he got in because I think that's really his school of choice, considering their majors and stuff. And I'm really happy because he's not too far. Like, he'll still have the full-on college experience, the dorms and all that stuff. But for me, he'll be close enough that, like, if he wanted to, or if I could, we could take him to dinner or go to, like, it's just like, I don't have to feel that full-on empty nester thing that I'm about to have to feel. And then my daughter is 20, and she's in college up in Monterey, at Cal State Monterey Bay. And so, it's a pretty different thing. I've been doing, for the last few years, I did a couple of short films and stuff, and then mostly I got into commercials, which I really like. They're really fun. I've got one airing right now for Target, and I've got a couple more that are about to come out. One for Snapchat. It's just that's just a really easy, fun thing, and then one for Home Advisor. So I'm having fun with that, and I'm breaking into voiceovers, which is really fun. You can go in your sneakers and your sneakers and put your hair in a ponytail and put on some lipstick, and there, that's it. And plus, you can be like whoever, with your voice. You don't have to, because I tend to have a younger voice than I am, so that's just kind of fun because it's sort of, I have this sort of, I guess a perkiness. I don't know if that's exactly how you'd name it right now, but some sort of an energy of somebody who's a little bit younger than I am. Yeah. Not like super younger, but anyway, so the voiceover stuff is really fun. So, and then I've estate agent. So that's kind of my whole new, you know, next chapter thing. So I'm kind of doing my artistic thing, which I love with the commercials and the voiceovers, and then I've got this whole other new thing. I'm a Keller Williams real estate agent, and my office is in Beverly Hills, but we pretty much represent all around where I live in Westlake Village, and my, you know, Sherman. We're like all over the place in this, you know, centrally located around Sherman Oaks, Beverly Hills. So I really enjoy that because I'm putting my focus on other people. I really like helping other people and, you know, helping them find the right house and get through that whole process, which can be a little bit, sometimes a difficult process. But it's really fun to be doing something that is completely different, and yet I still have the joy of doing, you know, acting and everything with the commercials and with voiceovers. And I really haven't gone after the theatrical side so much.
Yeah.
And I really it's just been the commercial thing it was easy to reignite. So I just went with that, you know, because I took off. I was out of the business completely for 16 years. Wow. With my kids, which was really great. But then I realized I actually missed it, and I also had some real fun doing these short films. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
But you know, it's okay with me. I don't feel like driven that I must be on a TV show or else I'll be, you know, like unhappy. So. Yeah. So it's really fun, actually, to be kind of redefining myself, but also still enjoying what I've always loved to do since I was, like, forever. You know? I mean, I started as a teenager, but I had the theatrical musical comedy thing going on as a kid in school, and then, you know, just I always loved that. I think my dad once recently asked me, well, why do you think you got into acting? I mean, first it started with modeling, and I really wanted to stay, but I didn't want to stay there because I thought it might hurt feelings. What I really wanted to say was it was a place where I could actually express myself and be, you know, applauded for it in a kind of goofy way, but just like that was a good thing. Versus in my house, although it was a nice house to grow up in, but it was like you do not like. I don't know. There was no like, let's tell me how you feel, or let's talk. You know, whereas these days we talk through things with our kids a little differently, and it's not so, you know, separate as parents. You know, versus kids, it's a little bit more, you know, inclusive. So I think, because I thought about it, and I thought, well, why did I get into it? Other than the fact that I always loved it as a kid. I just gravitated to it. But then I realized it's because I got to be someone who got to say things and have emotions, and like that was what they wanted, and it was like, let me free. So anyway, I don't know what question you were asking me when I went into all that, but
just about what you were doing these days. But
oh yeah.
But yeah, I've had a few '80s movie actresses on here that told me when they disappeared for a while and came back, they started doing the short films, and that led to the theatrical films. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That would be a wonderful way to go. I like that. Who are those gals or guys?
See, I know Diane Franklin did.
Has she been working as an actress recently? I see her sometimes at the Comic-Con.
Yeah, she well, the short films that she was doing was the short films for her daughter, because her daughter's a young filmmaker. But the stuff that she's doing recently, it's not out yet, but she just did another Amityville horror movie.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. and some
That's really fun.
and then some other horror movie she did with Jameson Newlander. I don't think it's out yet, but I think it's coming out
Yeah.
soon. Yeah.
Oh, cool. She's a really nice girl. I only knew her from auditions and stuff, and then we started seeing each other in some of these Comic Cons, and it was like, wow, this is like bringing it all back.
Yeah, I've had her on the show twice. I had her on, I think a week after you, the last time we talked. And yeah, we have great conversations, and she tells really great stories.
Well, that's neat. That's totally fun.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose if that happened, I'm sure I would say yes. I'd love to do a film or something. That'd be really neat. But I've got plenty of stuff going on, which is good. Just stuff has just come to me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a good time for that.
Yeah, especially you know, a lot of you guys do the Comic Cons and the horror cons and stuff. It helps because a lot of them I know got their current movie roles because they met directors and producers at the cons.
Oh, neat. Yeah. I did several horror films. I think we probably discussed the first one that I did in New York. What was it called? Girls Night Out.
Yep, Girls Night Out. We talked last time. Yeah.
And then the Kindred. That was. I think I watched that one time.
Yeah.
with Talia Balsam and Amanda Pays and oh god, that was a lot of goo, a lot of screaming.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'd like to wrap this up by telling you a couple of jokes because I love your laugh.
Thank you. Okay, I'm ready.
Do you prefer clean or raunchy?
Oh, let's see, both. Mix it up.
Oh my God, I had Catherine Mary Stewart say that to me last week. Mix it up.
Exactly.
Even my clean jokes are a little edgy, but let's see.
Yeah, there you go. That's okay.
What did one burp say to the other?
I don't know what.
Next time, let's be stinkers and go out the back.
Oh! God! That's terrible. Oh, jeez.
Oh, here's one I told to Diane, and she laughed out loud, and then she went on a tirade about how true it is. What's the difference between, you know, the difference between a G spot and a golf ball?
Size. No, I don't.
A man will spend 20 minutes looking for a golf ball.
Oh my God, that's great. Oh, go Diane. That is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, I think I did spend a good amount of time. I don't have too many complaints about that, but it's always good to have somebody with endurance, no matter what.
Julia, you are such a sweet lady and a lot of fun. I hope I get to meet you in person someday.
Yes, absolutely.
And I thank you so much for the first and second interview, and I will send them both to you as soon as I'm done here.
Oh, I'd love it.
And
Absolutely.
Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you. You too. I'll talk to you soon, Tommy. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Julia Montgomery. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Julia. The second interview was just as fun and entertaining as the first one. And hope I get to meet you someday. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. Join my Tommy Kovac Comedians page on Facebook. And all of that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.